Ahí vemos a los Looney Tunes, los genios de lo que es el género del reggaetón. Estos muchachos verdaderamente, la historia es impresionante como ellos comenzaron de la
Looney Tunes. And we don't sing. We don't sing, we don't do shows. We only make music in the studio. Que yo te besé. Abre la canción, cierra eso, abre.
They pretty much work with all the reggaeton artists. Like, you want a hit, you go see Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes marcaron un estilo, un profesionalismo en lo que es la musicalización. Empezaron a poner violines, empezaron a poner cosas en el reggaetón.
They are probably the most well-known at this point producers in the business. These guys are like major pioneers in terms of the sound. They're the ones that kind of create a trend with, okay, they're gonna use this snare beat or, you know, this kind of bass. People follow a lot along the pattern that Looney Tunes created in terms of the music.
Francisco Saldana and Victor Cabrera, they're just the tag team. They're originally from Dominican Republic, but they actually grew up in Boston. And they're really an American success story. You know, they came from really poor upbringing and they beat the odds. They made themselves into the biggest producers in reggaeton.
Those guys worked before in Harvard University in the kitchen. Looney made the recipe with the chef and Tunes washed the dishes.
From the beginning I moved to Boston, I always had in my head going back to Puerto Rico. That was my plan. Working to make money to get enough technology so I go to Puerto Rico with my own studio.
1999, I met Looney, Francisco at that time, right here in Carolina. He came from Boston with this kid, Victor, that's two. So they started, you know, like helping me out in the studio with this guy, Noriega.
DJ Nelson was like the #1 DJ, like the biggest producer. He's been all the time, the one who teach me to a lot of things.
Fue la primera vez que yo te toqué. Fue la primera
I had what he wanted. I had the acapella. You know, I knew I went there for that. They wanted the acapella, so I'm like, oh, you gotta give me reggaeton loops, you gotta teach me, you gotta let me see your studio.
And I started looking Francisco face and Victor. I was like, yo, you look like fucking cartoons. I wanna call you, yo, the Looney Tunes. And they say no. But the next day, they came to the studio and say, yo, you know what? I like that name. So everyone was calling Looney Tunes.
We were working at the studio. We were doing like Tego's album. For the first time, Tego was making an album. So everybody used to go in there and come out, and this thing was getting big. So they stole from the studio. That was a big problem we had with the rappers.
We almost got killed because of that.
They stole Tego's album from my studio, like all the track that I was doing.
Yeah, like five songs.
And the track was all over Puerto Rico. Tego was crying.
So everybody was mad at us. So we're like, oh, that's it for us, you know, like.
Even Yankee one day he went to the studio. He's like, for the first time he was gonna give us a chance to work with him. And it was this mess in the studio. Everybody, oh no, I lost one of my track in the studio. This is messed up.
So he lost.
And then he's like, oh, if you guys doing that, I don't want to work here.
Yeah.
He just told me that like that. And I was like, oh, it's like that, okay.
And it wasn't even our fault.
We never found who really did it, so.
But we have an idea, we just don't want to say anything.
Yankee actually ended up changing his mind and decided to work with Looney Tunes on creating Gasolina, and it became a huge crossover hit.
Gasolina, I mean, that was an all-Spanish record, but I think there isn't a single kid in America who can't sing that hook.
After I played Gasolina for the first time, and all these other stations started to play it, it became a top 10 Billboard chart hit. Daddy Yankee's the first artist in the reggaeton genre to receive platinum status.
Barrio Fino, ¿verdad? Después de tantos años, es el primer disco que se coloca número 1 en los Billboards, rompiendo récord de venta en menos de un mes, 200,000 copias. entiende que eso es un logro.
It has a big impact. So now the record companies see this, and now corporate America wants in.
Clear Channel started with these urban formats, which was a mix between Hispanic and urban. You know, having DJs that did my flow, speak in English, you know, throw in some Spanish.
Check out the website at mega949.com para toda la información del mundo mega. It's Mega949, Latino and proud.
The happiest day in our life was the day that Clear Channel said that they were going to turn these stations to urban formats. It was like, it was, did you hear?
When a company like Clear Channel says, we're going to go with a reggaeton station, you better believe they're going to go mainstream.
Because of us playing the records on the radio, and because of all these DJs spinning it in the clubs, and you know, people from all the way back at the Noise and the Playero days, now you have these stars. You know, they're completely celebrity status, you know, sitting at the MTV Video Music Awards and walking down the red carpet like Daddy Yankee did, and getting nominated for the first ever reggaeton artist for an MTV Video Music Award, you know, to Ivy Queen, people like Calle 13 that are just like really reinventing it. People like Don Omar had a billboard in Times Square, New York City, for his CD. You know, that's a major accomplishment. Not everybody could say that.
Don Omar was the artist that reggaeton needed. He was the most versatile singer, songwriter that the genre had seen him.
Ya alrededor de 500,000 copias vendidas dentro de Puerto Rico, Estados Unidos, España, Europa y Centro y Sudamérica.
He's an improviser, and nobody has the melody of Yandel. So you had the perfect combination. You had a great rapper, a great improviser, mixed in with a guy who could really do a melody, you know, like nobody.
Mientras haya un movimiento, el reggaetón es la base grande. El reggaetón es algo universal, es algo que los productores en Puerto Rico han creado a ser universal.
Yo creo y pienso que el género va a seguir expandiéndose porque sigue entrando gente. Lo siente cuando vas a Estados Unidos, que los latinos pues apoyan. Ahora también la gente que no habla español también está.
Sooner or later you're going to see more records that kind of mix up Spanish and English. They're probably going to pressure these artists to have more English in these songs. I think because ultimately it's inevitable.
It's the kiss of death for any Latin music to try to go to English. It's the worst thing that could happen to any genre. The fact that people speak Spanish is a rhythm in itself. The whole cadence and structure of English is different. It falls on different beats. The words don't have the same crackle, and the accents don't fall in the same way. To put reggaeton in English and make it work, very difficult. I have yet to find one single example where it works.